In the desolate wilderness of Belaya, a remote region in the Russian Arctic, winters are long and deathly silent. This is not the Russia of cities and trains. It is the Russia of permafrost, empty forests, and frozen rivers that stretch into nothingness. Few people live here, and fewer dare to speak of what happened one winter, when something ancient and wild crept out of the woods. The villagers would come to call them the Wolves of Belaya.
It began in the early 1950s, during one of the harshest winters the region had seen. Snow piled high above the doors. Hunger was constant. Even the bears had vanished into hibernation. But the wolves did not sleep. At first, it was livestock, goats, dogs, horses. Then, the attacks became bolder. A hunter vanished without a trace. A child was found with his coat torn to shreds, blood soaking the snow. But what terrified the locals wasn't the killing. It was how the wolves moved. They circled houses. They waited at village edges in complete silence. They didn't growl. They didn't howl. They just watched.
Hunters were sent to track the wolves. What they found stunned even the most experienced men. Footprints, not scattered randomly, but in strategic patterns. As if the wolves were flanking, ambushing, outthinking. Old men in the village began to whisper. These are not just wolves. These are the cursed kind. They've tasted man, and they remember. Some believed that during World War II, when Belaya was cut off and starving, villagers may have fed the wolves, perhaps even buried their dead where the wolves could dig. And now, years later, the wolves had returned.
One night, during a full moon and biting winds, the village heard something they would never forget. A long, rising howl, not one, but dozens. It shook windows, froze hearts, and then, it stopped. A group of men armed with rifles ventured into the woods the next morning. Only one returned, shaking, with his clothes torn, eyes blank. He whispered only 3 words before collapsing. They were waiting.
Then, as quickly as they came, the wolves disappeared. The snowstorms grew worse, and with them, the tracks vanished. No more attacks. No more sightings. It was as if the forest had swallowed them whole. But the fear never left. Even decades later, the elders in Belaya speak of the wolves with caution. Children are told never to play near the trees. Never to wander too far. Because the pack that once hunted humans might still be out there, watching.
Biologists later proposed logical theories. Climate shifts drove the wolves south. Extreme hunger changed their behavior. They adapted and learned through war and famine. But no theory could explain the stories told by the people of Belaya. The intelligence, the coordination, the feeling that these wolves weren't just animals, but something more. A product of human cruelty, of forgotten rituals, of a nature that remembers every debt it is owed.